Unfold at Goodison. What did the players make of it all? Let's find out. Virgil van Dijk now is speaking with our friends over at TNT Sports.
The derby, it was always going to be feisty. How do you sum that one up?
Yeah, listen, intense. It was always going to be intense. Obviously, a lot of battles, and yeah, I think yeah, obviously it's very disappointing to lose it. Obviously in the last second of the game, or even over extra time. But yeah, listen, it is what it is. It's not easy to accept it, especially in the matter how. But we take it and we go on.
With the way the game ended, does it feel like a loss?
Yes, a little bit. I think because I think it was over extra time. I think the inevitable is coming, but I think the referee had a big part in the game today in terms of certain challenges were given a foul and similar didn't. But in the end, it's just disappointing to concede in the last. A very good strike actually, but a very disappointed one.
What did they do to make it so difficult for you out there?
I think they do the same things that they always do. They're very direct, fight for the first ball, second ball, and obviously we all know that this is their cup final, and they will try to do everything in their power to make it difficult and try and win from us. And we've seen it last year how difficult they made it, and this year you see them scoring in the end. You know, it's obviously a big boost for them, but it's a blow for us.
Did it feel like a different atmosphere to normal? Because you've obviously played in plenty of these Merseyside derbies, but with this being the final one here at Goodison Park, did it make it a different feeling at all? No,
not at all. It's always a good atmosphere when we play against each other, home and away. So it didn't feel any different. So yeah, I think obviously the feeling right now is obviously disappointment. That's pretty obvious. And there will be for today and tonight, but from tomorrow we focus on Wolves and try to get the 3 points then, and so on and so on. We all know that we have a lot of games up until the international break, so there's no point to dwell too much on this result. We wanted to win here, we could have won here, maybe we should have won here, but it's what it is, we take it and move on.
Yeah, this was your game in hand, which starts a run of the 5 matches in 15 days, a busy period coming up. So how do you reflect on that point? I appreciate it's only shortly after the final whistle, but as you head into this run of games?
Fine, I think we put ourselves in a very good position, and that's down to hard work, quality, consistency. And I think I encourage everyone to just look at ourselves, try to win every game ahead of it, and don't look ahead of us, and don't look at what others do, what other teams are trying to do, or just focus on ourselves, try to be our best version and get 3 points on the table each and every game ahead of us. And I include the fans with that as well, so it will be a very intense last part of the season, but let's go and enjoy it. And like I said, we put ourselves in a good position, so let's go out there and keep going.
Speaking of intense, just the final moments of the game, there were a few red cards out on the pitch. Talk us through what you saw and what you can tell us about what happened out there.
Obviously, you know, they saw how they celebrated the goal. With all, you know, they have all the right to. But I think Doucouré in the end wanted to provoke our friends. I think that was what I saw, and Curtis didn't think that was the right thing to do. And then obviously, you know what happens when someone is when there is a little. How you tussle, or how you want to call it. I think the ref didn't have the game under control, in my opinion. I said it to him. I don't know what it is, but it is a fact, and both teams have to deal with it. But yeah, listen, it is what it is. Like I said, take the point and move on.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, see you.
That never really settled. You know, even when Liverpool went 2-1 in front and you thought they might be able to control it, they didn't quite manage to do that. And Everton, give them credit, they kept going, kept putting things and crosses into the box, and eventually they got a little bit of luck, which in fairness was a great strike that the equalisers. And then, of course, the roof went off, and it went off everywhere. It was difficult to keep control. David, good to see you. Difficult to keep control of what was happening.
Did it feel like a game that Liverpool didn't want to play and Everton did, and maybe that the officiating played into that because of the amount of stoppages that there were as well.
So the key is obviously, for Everton, the key is to get the game the way that they did. And it was scrappy, it was physical, and for Liverpool is to try and step away from that and play their own game. And that's what I said before, a hectic game that never really settled. Liverpool never got that kind of control over the game where you felt they were going to see it out. So, yeah, the referee certainly helped the scrappiness of the game because, and it's not sour grapes, but I just don't think he had a great game.
We talked about the midfield before the match, and it maybe felt like one of Ryan Gravenberch's weaker nights this season, and he has set an incredibly high bar. In contrast, Alexis McAllister seems completely oblivious to the atmosphere, and I guess a guy who's played in a World Cup final has that in his locker.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I thought Everton did well without the ball in their 4-4-2 formation, closing down, stopping Liverpool playing through the lines, which obviously Ryan Gravenberch suffered because of it, withdrawn early on in the second half. You know, that is the big battles in derby games. It's in the middle, this, and it's where games are won and lost. Today, I guess it was clear even.
The second goal that Liverpool scored, Mo Salah, I mean, he doesn't have much to aim at. It's a great finish on his swinger as well, and another significant contribution from him in a big game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You had the assist in the first half, and then you have the goal in the second half. And what I like about the goal is how quick it happens in a controlled bang before they can react. Because it wasn't of course it was a great chance at such anybody. It requires great close control, isn't it? So yeah, terrific. And it looked like he was going to decide yet another difficult away game, but today it wasn't to be.
And it felt weirdly as though there was a clash of heads late on that involved Jared Branthwaite, and Michael Oliver had to stop the game. I think there was about 4 minutes of stoppage time gone at that point, and it's almost as if Everton thought, right, we've got 2 more minutes here, and we're able to just reset and create that one last chance for James Tarkowski to score.
So we obviously reached that level, and you kind of go, the only one who knows how long is left is the referee, and Everton felt, we're going to give it one more go. Mikalenko did what you have to do in a situation like that, and he made sure there was good quality into the penalty area. He had 5 in there, Everton. They found it difficult to get men forward in the second half, but they had 5 men in there late on competing for the ball, and as I said before, I just felt for Tarkowski, and I guess he won't hit many sweeter than that one.
Yeah, and then the added drama of that long old wait for VAR to confirm that it was onside, which I think probably for the atmosphere and trying to keep a lid on things actually didn't help at all.
No, I mean, we were sitting there and thinking, what happens if this goal is disallowed? But I was not a big fan of the scenes that we saw. I'm not a big fan of supporters who want to run onto the pitch even to celebrate. You know, you stay in the stand, that's where you should be in it. And then, of course, we had the final whistle where they all kicked off again. So, yeah, unfortunately, it was a great occasion. The atmosphere was incredible. But the last 5 minutes was a little bit unsavoury.
What does it do for Liverpool to draw the game, but to draw it in that manner as well, when it felt as though they'd seen it out and seen out one of the toughest games because it's an away match at Goodison left on the calendar?
I don't think he'll greatly impact Liverpool. I think they'll be quite happy. It was a difficult game. It could have gone either way. I think if you'd come here and dominated and really played well, then you might have been disappointed. But it was kind of one of those games. It was scrappy. Anything was possible. So I think Liverpool will look at this and go 14 games to go with 7 points clear. It's ours to lose. Full steam ahead. Yes, difficult games coming up, isn't it? But hey, the Premier League is difficult.
And there are elements of the performance I'm sure that Arne Slot will look at, but there are also elements of the performance that you just feel are synonymous with every derby game, that it becomes a bit bitty and scrappy and messy, that you just won't see away at Villa, which arguably is a tougher game next Wednesday, but a totally different one.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that Aston Villa is a better team than Everton, but it will be a different challenge. It won't be as scrappy as it is today. It'll probably shoot Liverpool a little bit more, and that's why I said what I said before. I think that Liverpool will get on the coach, go back to Anfield and say, we'll take that all day long. It was one of those games, we just couldn't quite get it the way we wanted the game to be, and in the end, Everton, I'm not sure they got what they deserved in it, but they got themselves an equaliser from somewhere.
And I'm sure Arne Slot, given how measured he is, will see perspective that at 9 points you would have felt it's almost over. Still, 7 with 14 to go is a great position to be in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the way Liverpool are playing, I mean, didn't play particularly well here tonight, but for a long time it looked like we'd found a way to win yet another game. Not so long ago, it was down at Brentford, wasn't it? 0-0 with a couple of minutes ago, managed to win the game. So if nothing else, Liverpool generally know how to win the games.
Jan, thank you very much indeed. So the final Merseyside derby at Goodison Park ends level, and Liverpool will dust themselves down and go again at home to Wolves on Sunday.
Thank you, Rob. And a point worth just reiterating something that Mel's pointed out to me just in the break, when I said that Liverpool had no injuries to deal with, it did look like Cody Gakpo picked up a problem tonight.
I said take the point and move on.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, he touched on the melee at full time, and this has come via the Premier League Match Centre X platform. So the referee issued second yellow cards and red cards to Curtis Jones and Abdullah Doucouré after an altercation. Following the final whistle, Arne Slot and his assistant Sipke Hulshoff were also shown straight red cards after the final whistle. So that clarifies that. What about what Virgil had to say there, Michael?
Well, yeah, I agree.
There's
with
clear
it.
disappointment there, isn't there, that they've
Of
dropped
course,
points?
yeah, of course. But I mean, I said before, I don't think Liverpool would have taken a point before the game. Of course not. But I don't think it's the worst result. It's just the manner, conceding so late when you feel as if you've got the 3 points and you feel as if, one hand is on the trophy. To only get 1 point is frustrating, but it's not, as I say, this is one of the toughest games on their fixture list for the remainder of the season. So to come away with a point isn't the worst thing. There's 7 points ahead still in total control. There's average things happening to other people. The news came out from Arsenal that Havertz has torn his hamstring, out for a long period of time. Liverpool have still got a really full, fit squad. They're healthy, they're playing well, they're picking up points. They're still in real command of this league, but just a tinge of disappointment for tonight.
Considering 10 of the 11 were rested from the FA Cup game against Plymouth for today's game at Goodison, were Liverpool as dominant as you expected them to be?
No, but that didn't surprise me because this game is always very difficult to play in, and quite often the superior team doesn't really, play the football that sometimes they play throughout the season. I thought we have to give credit to David Moyes, the way that he kind of set up this roadblock, should we say, to slow down those attacks from Liverpool. No one really looked comfortable. I think it was a difficult game for the referee to officiate on. I do feel there was a lot of contact tackles, and it was difficult to run it. Were they fouls? Weren't they fouls? So I could see it kind of like building, couldn't you? You could feel it was bubbling under the surface. Liverpool, though, are really still in a strong position. They play Arsenal on the 10th of May. And there's are there a dozen games between now and then?
Yeah.
There are some difficult fixtures, though, for Liverpool that they're going to have to negotiate. So it's not completely done. But we're looking at an Arsenal team that will play Leicester at the weekend, the first kick-off, the early kick-off, with none of the front three available for selection. So Arsenal are doing this, if they can do it, between now and the end of the season with their hands tied behind their back. They haven't got the front players they need, and Liverpool are still really comfortable. So, but as we say, there's difficult fixtures, and Liverpool now will be under a little bit of pressure because of that. You see Villa away, Man City. I know people thinking they're finished, they're not. Newcastle now quite formidable, even at home. They're difficult games.
Yeah.
So
those games, including today's game against Everton, that starts a run of 5 Premier League fixtures in 15 days, Michael, as they try and keep the others at arm's length.
As I say, good job they've got a fully fit squad.
Yeah.
You could say, 1 or 2 players have got fit, but in general, they've been a very, very fit team all season. Arne Slot's had everybody to pick from. So that's good. He managed to rest players at the weekend, even though the result was poor and they're out of a cup competition. It's still given the players a decent rest before they go into this period of time. So, some tough games ahead, no question about it, but they're in such a better position, I think, mentally, certainly physically, than all of their opponents at the moment. So I still see them, cruising towards the end of the season. They've been there, they've seen it, they've done it before, they're experienced players. There's not many question marks. The manager is probably the biggest question mark. Yeah. And based on what he's shown this season, you can't really question him either.
They're in an incredible position now. I don't want to say, look, it's theirs to throw away, because you go and earn it, and you deserve it if you take it. But, they're in a strong position. They won't have their manager, by the way, in the dugout at the weekend. So there's going to be...
their assistant manager.
They've
got no one on the bench.
So I'm not sure who's making the decisions at the weekend.
But do you think also last season's experience will stand them in good stead for Liverpool, because they were in the title race for so long? Yeah. And having won the Carabao Cup, it kind of fell away from Jurgen Klopp in that final season.
It did, but remember, this team has been together for a long period of time. That's their strength, As I say, the one question mark you can have is the manager's never won it. But really, when you tell your players to go out onto the pitch, they've all been there, seen it, done it. They've won everything, everything this game has to, or the majority of them, that this game has to offer. So their experience, I can't see how they can trip up so badly, especially with everybody falling around them. Now, Arsenal aren't falling around. They're putting in a nice little run at the moment. But in terms of what Martin touched on there, they've got some injuries to big players, to a lot of their front players. And Liverpool just seem to be cruising through. That's a tough game today. A point's not the worst result in the world. It feels bad because they give it away in the last minute. They'll feel bad. The fans all around the world will feel not great. Arsenal fans will be rejoicing tonight. However, when the dust settles and